What would you do if the person who promised to love you became the thing you feared most?
In the bustling city of Lagos, where the markets never sleep and the streets pulse with life, there lived a young woman named Chioma. She was 23 years old when our story begins, bright, educated, with dreams as big as the Atlantic Ocean that bordered her city. Chioma had studied nursing at the Lagos State University Teaching Hospital. She was good at her work, the kind of nurse who remembered patients' names, who held hands during painful procedures, who made children laugh even as she gave them injections. A woman with a skill has a treasure that cannot be stolen, her mother used to tell her. And Chioma's nursing skills were indeed her treasure. At the hospital, she met Emeka. He was charming, that one, tall, well-dressed, always with the right words. He worked in the pharmaceutical company that supplied the hospital, and he would find excuses to come to Chioma's ward, bringing samples, bringing forms, bringing smiles. Sister Chioma, he would say, even though she wasn't his sister, it's what we call nurses in Nigeria, you look beautiful today. Sister Chioma, can I buy you lunch? Sister Chioma, I would like to take you somewhere nice this weekend. Chioma was flattered. Here was this successful man, he drove a nice car, wore nice clothes, had a good job, and he was interested in her. Her friends envied her. Her family was impressed when she brought him home. Not all that glitters is gold, her grandmother had warned. But Chioma was young and in love, and she didn't want to hear warnings. She only wanted to hear wedding bells. They dated for 2 years. During those 2 years, there were small signs, little cracks in the golden facade, but Chioma chose not to see them. The way Emeka would get angry if she talked to male colleagues. The way he would criticize her clothes, saying they were too tight or too revealing. The way he would sulk if she wanted to visit her family without him. The way he would check her phone just to be sure she wasn't talking to other men. But these things seemed small compared to the gifts he bought her, the nice places he took her, the way he talked about their future together. I will marry you properly, he promised. Traditional ceremony, white wedding, everything. You will be my wife, my queen. And Chioma believed him. They got married when Chioma was 25. The traditional ceremony was beautiful, her family in their finest George wrapper and lace, Emeka's family in their Isiago attire, the talking drums drumming, the dancers dancing, palm wine flowing, jollof rice steaming. The white wedding was held at a big church in Victoria Island, with 200 guests and a reception at a fancy hotel. Chioma felt like a princess in her white gown, standing beside her handsome husband as they promised, for better or for worse, in sickness and in health, till death do us part. She didn't know then how soon she would be tested on those vows. Marriage is like a coconut, hard on the outside, and you don't know what's inside until you crack it open, the old women say. And Chioma was about to discover what was inside her coconut. The change happened almost immediately after the wedding. It was as if Emeka had been wearing a mask for 3 years, and now that the marriage certificate was signed, he could finally take it off. First, he told Chioma she had to quit her job. My wife doesn't need to work, he said. I can provide for us. Your job is to take care of the home. Chioma protested. But Emeka, I love my work. I trained for years to be a nurse. And we need my income too. Are you saying I cannot provide for my own wife? His voice had an edge to it that Chioma hadn't heard before. Are you trying to embarrass me? No, that's not what I meant. Then you will quit. A proper Igbo wife respects her husband's wishes. And because Chioma was young and had been taught that wives should submit to their husbands, she quit her job. She turned in her resignation letter, said goodbye to her colleagues, and came home to be a proper wife. The woman who gives up her voice loses more than her words, she loses herself, Chioma's grandmother had once said. But Chioma didn't remember that wisdom until it was too late. The first time Emeka hit her, Chioma was 3 months pregnant with their first child. They had been married less than a year. Chioma had cooked dinner, jollof rice with chicken, Emeka's favorite. But that evening, Emeka came home angry. His boss had criticized him at work, traffic had been terrible, and he was looking for someone to take out his frustration on. "This food is too salty," he said, pushing the plate away. "Oh, I'm sorry. Let me make something else." "You're always sorry. Always making mistakes. What kind of wife are you?" "Emeka, please, I can cook something else. Maybe some rice and stew." "Rice and stew. Rice and stew." His voice was rising now, and Chioma felt fear creeping up her spine like ants. "I work hard all day to put food on this table, and you can't even cook properly." I said I'm sorry. That's when it happened. Emeka's hand came up fast, so fast Chioma didn't have time to move, and struck her across the face. The slap echoed in the room like a thunderclap. Chioma stood frozen, her hand on her burning cheek, her eyes wide with shock. Her ears were ringing. Her heart was pounding. She couldn't believe what had just happened. "Emeka," she whispered, tears starting to flow. For a moment, Emeka looked shocked too, as if he couldn't believe what he'd done. Then his face hardened. "See what you made me do," he said coldly. "If you had just done your job properly as a wife, I wouldn't have to discipline you." Discipline. That's what he called it. Discipline. Chioma ran to the bathroom and locked herself in. She looked at her face in the mirror, the red handprint on her cheek, the tears streaming down her face, the fear in her eyes. The first blow is a test, her aunt had once told her during premarital counseling. If you accept the first blow without consequences, you are teaching him that he can do it again. But Chioma was pregnant. Where would she go? What would people say? Maybe it was a one-time thing. Maybe he was just stressed. Maybe she really had made him angry. These are the lies that abused women tell themselves. And Chioma told them all that night. The second blow came 2 weeks later. Then another a week after that. Then another. And another. Each time there was a reason. The food wasn't ready on time. The house wasn't clean enough. She had talked back. She had looked at him the wrong way. She was too emotional, she was pregnant, for goodness sake. She wasn't grateful enough for everything he provided. And each time, after the violence, would come the apologies. "Baby, I'm so sorry. I don't know what came over me. You know I love you. I would never hurt you on purpose. It's just stress from work. It won't happen again. Please forgive me. I'll change, I promise." And Chioma, desperate to believe that the man she married was still in there somewhere, would forgive him. Again and again and again. The lion doesn't change its spots, and the leopard doesn't become a sheep, the proverb warns. But Chioma kept hoping for a miracle. During her pregnancy, the violence got worse. Emeka became obsessed with making sure Chioma didn't have anything to eat during their arguments. He would make sure she had no food in the house, or he would throw away what she cooked, or he would lock her in the room without meals. "You want to eat? Then behave yourself," he would say. Chioma, pregnant and hungry, would cry herself to sleep many nights. She tried to tell her mother once, but her mother, raised in a generation that believed wives should endure, said, "My daughter, marriage is not easy. Every woman suffers. Just pray and be patient. Don't bring shame to this family by running back home." She tried to tell Emeka's mother, thinking maybe a mother would see reason. But Emeka's mother said, "What did you do to make him angry? You young girls of nowadays don't know how to respect your husbands. In my time, we knew how to keep our marriages. The one who has never walked in your shoes cannot tell you where they hurt," the wise ones say. And no one seemed willing to walk in Chioma's painful shoes. When Chioma went into labor, it was terrifying. She had developed complications during pregnancy, preeclampsia, the doctors called it. Her blood pressure was dangerously high. The baby was in distress. We need to do an emergency cesarean section, the doctor told them. And we'll need both of you to sign the consent forms. But Emeka refused. No surgery, he said. She would deliver naturally, the way women have been delivering for thousands of years. Sir, the doctor pleaded, your wife's life is in danger. The baby's life is in danger. We need to operate now. I said no. Emeka shouted in the hospital corridor. You doctors just want to make money. She will be fine. The medical team looked at Chioma with pity. One nurse squeezed her hand and whispered, we will try our best. For 12 hours, Chioma labored in agony. For 12 hours, she thought she would die. For 12 hours, she prayed to God to save her and her baby. Finally, miraculously, the baby came, a beautiful girl with a strong cry and 10 perfect fingers and 10 perfect toes. Chioma had survived. Her baby had survived. But just barely. The doctor took Emeka aside afterwards and said sternly, your wife almost died tonight. She lost a lot of blood. Her body went through trauma. She needs rest, care, and no stress for at least 6 weeks. Do you understand? Emeka nodded, but Chioma saw the irritation in his eyes. They named the baby Ada, which means first daughter. And for a few weeks, there was peace. Emeka was gentler, more attentive. He brought food for Chioma. He held the baby. He took pictures to post on social media. God has blessed us with a beautiful daughter. #proud father, #blessed family. Chioma dared to hope that maybe, just maybe, the baby would change him. That fatherhood would soften him. That their family could be happy. The leopard may rest, but it does not change its spots, the old ones won. And they were right. 3 months after Ada was born, the violence started again. Worse than before. Emeka would get angry at the baby for crying at night. He would get angry at Chioma for being tired, she was taking care of an infant. He would get angry if the house wasn't perfect, if dinner wasn't ready, if Chioma wasn't immediately available to meet his needs. One night, when Ada wouldn't stop crying, Emeka yanked the baby from Chioma's arms so roughly that Chioma feared he would hurt her. Shut that child up, he screamed. She's just hungry, let me feed her. You're spoiling her. She needs to learn to sleep. Chioma stood up, and for the first time in their marriage, she raised her voice, give me my baby. Now. The shock on Emeka's face quickly turned to rage. He shoved the baby back into Chioma's arms and then pushed Chioma herself, causing her to stumble. She held Ada tight, protecting her daughter even as she fell against the wall. That night, something inside Chioma broke. Or maybe it finally woke up. She looked at her 3-month-old daughter and thought, what am I teaching her? That it's okay for men to hurt women. That love looks like violence. That she should stay silent when someone hurts her. And she knew with absolute certainty, that she had to leave. Not for herself. She had endured for herself. But for her daughter. For Ada. She would find the strength to run. The mother lion doesn't wait for the hunter to kill her cubs before she runs, the elders say. And Chioma was done waiting. But leaving wasn't simple. Chioma had no job, Emeka had made her quit. She had no savings, Emeka controlled all the money. She had no car, Emeka had sold hers after the wedding, saying they only needed one. She had no independence whatsoever. She was trapped in a golden cage. But the caged bird doesn't give up flying just because the cage is made of gold, and Chioma started planning. She began secretly keeping small amounts of money, money from the housekeeping allowance, money from church offerings that family members gave her, money she got from selling some of her old clothes online. She hid the money in a place Emeka would never look, inside the baby's diaper bag. She reached out to an old friend from nursing school, Ngozi, and told her everything. Ngozi was shocked, angry, and immediately supportive. "You can stay with me," Ngozi said, "for as long as you need. And we'll help you get back on your feet." Chioma also went to the hospital where she used to work and spoke to the nursing director, who remembered her as an excellent nurse. "We'd love to have you back," the director said. "When you're ready, just let us know." Chioma made copies of important documents, birth certificates, marriage certificates, Ada's immunization records, her own credentials. She hid these in the diaper bag too. She packed a small bag of clothes for herself and Ada, not too much, or Emeka would notice. Just enough to survive. And then she waited for the right moment. The moment came one Thursday morning. Emeka had left for a business trip to Abuja. He would be gone for 3 days, 3 precious days when Chioma could run without him immediately pursuing her. As soon as his car pulled out of the compound, Chioma moved into action. Her hands were shaking, her heart was pounding, but she was determined. She called Ngozi, "I'm coming today. Can you send your brother to pick me up?" "He's already on the way," Ngozi replied. She had been waiting for this call. Chioma grabbed the diaper bag with the money and documents, the packed bag of clothes, and her baby. She didn't take jewelry, didn't take wedding gifts, didn't take anything that would require explanation. She just took what she needed to survive. As she walked out of the apartment, the place that had been her prison for over a year, she felt something she hadn't felt in a long time: hope. Ngozi's brother arrived in his old Sienna. Chioma climbed in with Ada, and as they drove away, she didn't look back. Not once. The one who keeps looking back at the burning house will never reach the river, they say. And Chioma was determined to reach the river. Act 9, The Phone Calls. When Emeka returned from Abuja 2 days later and found the apartment empty, his phone call started immediately. "Where are you? You better bring my daughter back now. You think you can run from me? I will find you. You are my wife. You belong to me." Then the calls changed tone. "Baby, please come back. I'm sorry. I promise I'll change this time. For real. I miss you. I miss Ada. You're tearing our family apart. Think of what people will say." Then came the emotional manipulation. "How can you be so wicked? Taking my child away from me. I've done everything for you. Provided everything. And this is how you repay me. You're going to regret this. No one else will want you. You're damaged goods now." Chioma listened to these messages with something new, clarity. She heard them for what they were: manipulation, control, abuse. And she felt something she hadn't felt in years: anger. Not at herself, but at him. At what he had done. At what he had tried to make her believe about herself. She blocked his number. Then came the calls from his family. "Chioma, come back. We will talk to him. You're being selfish. A child needs her father. What kind of example are you setting?" She blocked those numbers too. Then came the calls from her own family, and this hurt the most. "My daughter, come home. But you cannot stay here. You must go back to your husband. What will people in the church say? You are bringing shame to this family." The one who has never been burned doesn't fear fire, Chioma thought bitterly. But she stayed strong. She stayed away. Living with Ngozi and her small family, Chioma started to heal. Not quickly, healing from trauma never happens quickly. But slowly, day by day, she began to find herself again. She started therapy with a counselor at a women's shelter that Ngozi connected her with. In those sessions, she learned words for what had happened to her: domestic violence, emotional abuse, financial control, isolation. She learned that none of it was her fault. None of it. The broken pot can be mended, but it becomes even stronger at the places where it cracked, the counselor told her, quoting African wisdom. And Chioma was determined to become stronger. After 3 months, she went back to her old hospital and resumed her nursing work. Her first day back, wearing her crisp white uniform, she felt like she could breathe again. Like she was Chioma again, not just Emeka's wife or Ada's mother, but herself. The money wasn't much at first. She had to start at a lower position because she'd been away for over a year, but it was her money. Money she earned. Money no one could take away or control. She found a small apartment, just 1 bedroom, but it was clean and safe and hers. She bought a few essential items: a small mattress, a pot, some plates, baby clothes for Ada. It wasn't much, but the small house that brings peace is better than the mansion that brings tears, as they say. Every night, she would hold Ada and say, "Mommy is going to give you a better life. A life where no man ever raises his hand to you. A life where you know your worth. A life where you are free." Of course, Emeka didn't just disappear. 6 months after she left, he filed for custody of Ada, claiming Chioma was an unfit mother who had kidnapped his child. The court case was difficult. Emeka had money for a good lawyer. He presented himself as the victim, the hardworking husband whose ungrateful wife left him for no reason. But Chioma had something more powerful than money: truth. And evidence. She had medical records from the hospital showing her injuries over the years, injuries she had explained away as accidents, but which the nurses had documented with concern. She had text messages she had saved, threatening messages, controlling messages, abusive messages. She had testimony from Ngozi, who had seen Chioma's bruises. From the counselor at the women's shelter. From neighbors who had heard the shouting and crashing. When the judge heard all the evidence, her face was grave. She looked at Emeka with disappointment and disgust. "Mr. Emeka," the judge said, "the evidence before this court shows a pattern of domestic violence, financial abuse, and controlling behavior. While you have a right to see your daughter, primary custody will remain with the mother. You will have supervised visitation only, and you will be required to attend anger management and parenting classes." Emeka's face turned red with rage, but even he couldn't argue with the evidence. Chioma left the courtroom with Ada in her arms and freedom in her heart. She had won. Not because she had destroyed Emeka, but because she had saved herself and her daughter. 3 years have passed since that day when Chioma walked out of her golden cage. 3 years of growth, of healing, of rediscovering herself. Today, Chioma is 31 years old. She's a nursing supervisor at her hospital now, with her own team of nurses she mentors. She has her own apartment, bigger now, with 2 bedrooms so Ada can have her own room. She has a car that she bought with her own money. She has independence, dignity, and peace. Ada is now 3.5 years old, attending a good nursery school. She is bright, happy, and loved. She sees her father once a month for supervised visits, but she lives with her mother in a home filled with laughter, not fear. Chioma still has hard days. Days when she wonders if she did the right thing. Days when she feels lonely. Days when she's tired of being both mother and father to Ada. Days when she struggles financially because raising a child alone is expensive. But then she remembers what her life used to be. She remembers the fear, the pain, the walking on eggshells, the feeling of being trapped. And she knows without any doubt, that she made the right choice. Better to be alone and whole than together and broken, she tells other women who seek her advice now. Because yes, other women have started reaching out to her, women still trapped in their own golden cages, asking, "How did you do it? How did you find the courage?" And Chioma tells them her story. She tells them about the planning, the fear, the leap of faith. She tells them about the organizations that help, the shelters that protect, the laws that support. She tells them that they are not alone, that it's not their fault, that they deserve better. The one who lights a candle in the darkness becomes a guide for others, they say. And Chioma has become that candle. One evening, Chioma sat Ada down for a talk. Ada was getting older now, old enough to start asking questions. Why don't we live with Daddy? Why do we only see him sometimes? Why does he seem angry? Chioma chose her words carefully. Ada, my darling daughter, let me tell you something important. There are different kinds of love in this world. There's good love, the kind that makes you feel safe, respected, valued. That's the kind of love Mommy has for you. That's the kind of love you should look for when you grow up. But there's also bad love, the kind that hurts you, controls you, makes you feel small. That's not really love at all, even though people call it love. And when someone treats you with that kind of love, it's okay to walk away. It's not just okay, it's necessary. Your daddy wasn't showing good love to Mommy. He was hurting Mommy. And Mommy had to leave to keep us both safe. It doesn't mean Daddy doesn't love you in his own way. But it does mean that Mommy loves you enough to protect you, even when it's hard. Ada, with the simple wisdom of children, nodded and said, I like being safe with you, Mommy. Me too, my darling. Me too. That night, after Ada was asleep, Chioma sat on her small balcony, looking up at the Lagos sky. She thought about the journey she had traveled, from the young, naive girl who thought love meant enduring pain, to the strong woman who knew that love means respecting yourself enough to demand better. She thought about all the women still suffering in silence, still believing the lies that they deserved the abuse, still too afraid to leave. And she made a promise to herself, she would keep telling her story. She would keep lighting candles in the darkness. She would keep showing other women that escape is possible, that life after abuse is not just survival but thriving. The woman who survives the storm doesn't just tell the story, she becomes the story that saves others, as the wise ones say. And so, my dear friends, we come to the end of Chioma's tale. But before you go back to your own lives, let me share the lessons that this story teaches. First lesson, violence is never love. No matter what excuses are given, no matter what explanations are offered, violence is violence. It's not discipline. It's not correction. It's not passion. It's abuse. And it is never, ever acceptable. Second lesson, the warning signs are often there from the beginning. Controlling behavior, jealousy, criticism, isolation from friends and family, these are red flags. Pay attention to them. Don't ignore them hoping they'll go away. Third lesson, you are not responsible for someone else's violence. Chioma didn't make Emeka hit her. Nothing she did, not bad cooking, not talking back, not any mistake, justified violence. The abuser alone is responsible for their actions. Fourth lesson, living is not easy, but staying is deadly. The decision to leave an abusive relationship is one of the hardest decisions anyone can make. It requires planning, support, resources, and courage. But staying in a violent situation can cost you your life, your sanity, or your soul. Fifth lesson, you cannot change an abuser by loving them more. Chioma tried. She forgave again and again. She adjusted her behavior, walked on eggshells, did everything right. But Emeka didn't change. Because the problem wasn't her behavior, it was his character. You cannot love someone into changing if they don't want to change. Sixth lesson, children don't need both parents, they need safe parents. The idea that children need their father kept Chioma trapped for too long. But the truth is, children need safety more than they need two parents. A single parent who provides a peaceful, secure home is better than two parents where one is violent. Seventh lesson, sometimes the people who should support you won't. Family and friends may disappoint you with their lack of understanding or support. But that doesn't mean you're wrong to leave. It means they haven't walked in your shoes and don't understand your pain. 8th lesson: there is life after abuse. Chioma's story didn't end when she left. It began. She rebuilt her life, found her strength, rediscovered her worth. You can too. It won't be easy, but it is possible. Final lesson: your story can save someone else. If you have survived abuse and found freedom, share your story when you're ready and safe to do so. Your testimony might be the candle that lights someone else's path out of darkness. If you or someone you know is experiencing domestic violence, please reach out for help. In Nigeria, Domestic and Sexual Violence Response Team with DSVRT 081379600048. International Helpline +2348098875721. In Ghana, if you or someone you know is in immediate danger, please call the emergency services first at 112 or 191. For domestic violence specifically, you can reach out to the following organizations in Ghana. National Helplines. DOFSU, Police Unit, Helpline, 0551000900, call or WhatsApp, Orange Support Center, 0800 111 toll free, Helpline of Hope, 0800 800 800 or 0800 900 900. Specialized Support Services. Organization. Contact number. Focus area. The Ark Foundation. 0243777773. Crisis Support and Shelter. Stop Abuse Ghana. 0243381040. Advocacy and Victim Support. Gender Studies Center. 0302760688. Human Rights and Documentation. In other countries, search for Domestic Violence Hotline in your area. Remember, you deserve to be safe. You deserve to be respected. You deserve to be free. This is the tale of Chioma and the courage to live. I have told it as it needs to be told, honestly, clearly, and with the hope that it saves lives. May every woman know her worth. May every child grow up in safety. May every community recognize that domestic violence is not a private family matter, but a crime that we all must stand against. The one who sees evil and says nothing becomes a partner to that evil. Don't be silent. Speak up. Support survivors. Save lives. Yen era yen, we are all in this together. May your homes be filled with peace, not pain. May your relationships be built on respect, not fear. And may you always have the courage to choose yourself when someone else is trying to destroy you.
Share this story. It could save a life. It could save her life.